Alright guys, so welcome to Rusty Designs and Project Freebie. So in today's video we're covering the engine, and also by the end of the video I can't guarantee it. As you can see, there's no Mark II and no Mark III in the workshop. It might be back, the Mark II with the engine bay painted, but I can't guarantee that. You're gonna have to wait to the end of the video. Anyway, cracking on with the engine. This is basically carrying on from the last video where we did all the little bits and pieces, and like I explained in the last video, this is a cannibalized engine of bits and pieces that I've got laying around the workshop, bits I've had to buy, bits that I've been given, I have to source. And I've basically made a hybrid ABF. If you want to know what that is, basically it's an ABF inlet manifold and head. It's been put and polished. It's got Schritt cams, it's got Woosner high compressor pistons, which have been taken down by 1.5 mil to hopefully get to about 11.5 compression. Head's been skimmed, block's been decked. It's actually a diesel block. It's a 1Y block. It says here on the back, you might be able to see 1.9 on it maybe. No, you can't really see it, but yeah, it's a 1.9 block. The reason for that is it's got a smaller bore, 79.5, and I've then got the machine shop to take it out to 82.5, got a nice fresh bore, as well as I had to re-drill the head to fit M12 studs instead of M11 studs, which the ABF 16 valves kind of run. As you can see, I've got loads of pipes on the floor. Over here on the bench, we've got bits and pieces again. So I've got like half an ABF engine loom harness, and I've got an 8 valve harness, which I actually prefer the 8 valve one in a way because it seems to have better earths. Where is it? And it actually straps onto the same place where the gearbox goes to the earth. I mean, because I'm running mega squirt, I think that's gonna be really, really nice to have that. So I'm gonna recondition this loom, replace what needs to be replaced, modify it so that it fits the engine. That's gonna be covered in this video, as well as some of the pipes as well. I actually found this, which I think is a replacement pipe for that one that goes along here. Now the reason why I'm quite happy with that is, like I said, I'm going to change the water circuit on this slightly to try and see if I can get a better cooling across the head. So that's what we're going to be doing. Also, this is an ABF engine bracket, and I've trimmed it down so it's a lot neater without those extra little bits, which I'm not going to need the knock sensors or the crank sensor on this. So that's all going to be fine. So yes, and also on here, I've got the flywheel back from the machine shop. This is actually, again, it's not an ABF one. It's not a petrol one. It's off a diesel. It's actually off a 1.4 3-cylinder diesel. The flywheels are the same. The only difference is it's got a really, really big weight on it, as well as it's got a gap in a position, which is obviously to simulate, to smooth out the pulse of the 3 cylinders against the 4. But then once you've actually taken it all the way down, this thing lost about 2 kilos. Yep, it's a standard, you know, O2J, O2A flywheel. The clutch is on order, as well as a new pump is as well for the water pump and a few other bits and pieces. And then starting this water circuit, and once I've started, hopefully you guys will see a lot clearer what I'm actually going to be doing. Luckily I had a good seal, because these all tend to crack now and you can't even get those replacements. So I'm actually missing this little bracket that holds it into place. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make something up quickly with a P-clip. So I bolted the little bracket, ABF one, with the 8 valve loom, stripped some of it back. So as you can see, it's going to be, I'm going to have to adjust some of this. Like this is the coolant temp. It's a 4-plug type. I'm going to have to just do 2 because the engine loom is going to be connected to that one there. These oil temp and oil pressure ones are in the same location in the 8 valve, so they're good. So is the oil temp one, which is this one. So those don't need to be touched, those 3. This is the idle, no, this is for the distributor. Okay, so for all intents and purposes, that will fit. The earth is fine. The injectors, and then I've got here the TPS, which is going to have to make its way around to the back. So I have to separate that one. The air temp as well, I have to separate that. And this is the idle valve one, which needs to go to there. So the 8 valve's got a different kind of plug. So that's an easy an easy fix. Okay. So I've got the Loom here, and as you can see, I've tidied it up, and that's it, done. So it's tidy, and I've also used these little metal clips here. Hopefully you can see them, and they actually click into place. So you kind of just put them in, and it just tidies up the Loom perfectly. So now this goes in like that. As you can see, I've got the little clip on here. So that's gonna go through. It's got these little locator pins, I think. Where is it? Right there. There we go. So this bit there should clip into there now. Perfect. And the coolant one, which I've put a blue plug on there. Now run this round back of the cylinder head. A little clip here that holds it in place. And here now you've got the throttle cut-off switch, the throttle stop-end switch, but this is actually not going to be used on the Mega Squirt. Again, I've got this little metal clip. Just going to clip it into there. The injector Loom in, put the little clip in to hold the wire in place. There you go. The idle valve. So the only thing that's left is this earth, which will go into the little bolt here, onto the gearbox. So that'll kind of go around that way. It needs to be tidy there like so. So that's it, the engine Loom has been done, modified, and it looks really nice and tidy, especially along here, along this side. The only thing left to do is a coolant temp switch for the gauges, but that'll be on the gauge Loom, that'll be on the kind of the car Loom harness. So that'll just go onto there, but that's it. All right, so let's move on now and do the coolant pipes. All right guys, so this is a little test, and kind of you guys can see a bit clearer on what I'm thinking to do with this water circuit. So this is the pipe that would have originally gone from here into this top radiator hose tee off here, and then, but now it doesn't. As you can see, it comes around and it comes here to an auxiliary electric water pump. So what I'm going to do is, my reasoning for this again, so I'll go into it again guys, is so that I get hopefully a more even temperature across the head. If you know, I've looked at other engines, you know, even this particular engine or a variant of this particular engine, which is the 5-cylinder 20 valve engine that came on the early Audis. It's basically the same head, this is just with 1 cylinder lobbed off it. And if you look at that particular engine, a coolant manifold here at the front of the head, so it gets kind of more even flow across the head. This one, this top radiator hose, you know, is just going to kind of cool down 1 and 2, and 3 and 4, especially the back of the head, is going to get quite hot because there's not going to be a lot of movement. That's on this pipe here that's on the side of the head goes to the heater in the car, which is actually higher than this is, as well as there's more resistance, the pipe's smaller. So the water's always going to take the path of least resistance, which is going to be this front hose here. So my thinking is, what I've done here is literally I'm going to put this one that tees off, that'll go into the heater. As you can see, it goes around to there, and then need a connector. And then the one coming off the side of the head is going to have a pump, which is going to help it back round and feed back into the original water pump. So hopefully it's going to increase flow across the head and give me a much more even temperature across the head. That's what I'm hoping for. And maybe even get away with a bit more ignition due to this, because it's going to be running a bit cooler all across the head and not just on 1 and 2. So the parts finally arrived: the clutch, the water pump, the metal pipe, and the gasket for the throttle body. Just waiting now on the starter motor, but I've still got loads to get on with. So metal pipe, for the ABF, they no longer exist. So what I had to do is I had to order for a TDI 1.9 TDI 1996, and it's got like this extra bit here that holds the wiring plug for the diesel pump itself. And what I've done is just trimmed it off, which normally goes onto there like so. And And as you can see, it's more or less the same. The only thing it doesn't have is somewhere to bolt it onto here on the head. So I've had a quick look, and what I'm going to do is this little bit here, I'm going to cut that off, and the bit that I actually cut off the front, I think will actually fit. If I kind of trim it down and weld it up, like I said, cut that off, and I think it'll actually fit like that. So let's give that a try. What I'm going to do is just trim this off and see if this will actually obviously tidy this up, and just put a few spots on there, and I think it'll hold it on perfectly. So here's that bracket. That's a little bit I trimmed off it. So it was like that. Let's just trim that off. Trim off that little bit there, and that is absolutely perfect. It's like it's OEM. I might actually trim this little bit off here so it's a bit neater actually. So yep, I will do. I'll trim that bit off there. Look at that. That's its natural position. Could be about there. I don't think I could have planned this any better actually. So I've welded this in place now. I've also then run this pipe that comes from the front of the radiator hose tees off the bottom, which is now going to go to the heater. Look at that, it fits perfect in there. It will obviously need like another connector for it to go then up to the heater, but that's fine. It fits really, really cool. And another thing I've noticed, lucky I didn't start making the bracket yet for the water pump, the auxiliary one, because looking at it really, I can just literally put something coming off there, welding on there, literally holding this isolator rubber there, and it will work perfectly. I've got some stainless angles, and looking at it, it's going to fit perfectly there. All right, let me just measure this, drill a couple of holes, and I think this is going to be really quick and easy. So I don't think it would have worked out any better if I'd tried any harder. It's absolutely perfect. All these little bits and pieces I had. So the pipe fits perfectly with that adapted bracket from the front. The coolant pipe fits tightly and perfectly up inside there. 90, the pump's secure. The bracket I made fits neatly onto there, and it also clears the plug. The plug will actually go into there, no problem. And then I'm going to feed it probably to the side. I won't have it come in the way it normally goes. I want to run it along here, probably, and then along to the bulkhead. But once the engine's in, I'll see which way I can run that. And yeah, it's looking good. Also, a big thank you to Nelson Silva, who is a lifesaver, who had a spare ABF intake pipe, because these are rocking horse poo to find. These are really quite hard. And yep, thank you very much for this. This is actually a SAYAT one because the actual idle valve is in a different position. But luckily, again, laying around, I don't know what this is from, maybe an 8 valve again, or something like that. It's gonna fit, I think, quite comfortably with a bit of adjustment like that there. And the back one that would have been for the breather, I've actually blocked that off using a bonnet adjuster. It actually fits in there perfectly and looks quite cool. So yeah, so that's been a massive help. Okay, now, so I'm gonna move on and actually do the clutch. Hold on, I think I can hear my phone ringing. It is. Hopefully it's a paint shop, and hopefully the engine bay is painted and ready. Let me go pick it up, guys. Give me a minute. See you in a sec. So we've had quite a lot done. So the pillar, also the door needed to be adjusted. So we had to re-weld the hinges on so that then the door shut is perfect, because with the new wing, it was still touching badly on the door. So we had to readjust that and pull also the chassis leg slightly. Now, both chassis legs have been pulled. This one's been pulled down and to the side. This one the same. The top has also been squared off, so all shit's square now with the front panel. And as you saw before, this is before the acrylic kind of stuff that's gone here. So it's like an acrylic sealant that's gone on first. And this is gonna get sanded down and then fillered and then primered, then sprayed. So yeah, so hopefully I'll have this back in the next few days at the workshop ready to put the engine in. It looks really, really good. And they've also straightened out the little crack that had appeared there, where it come away from the body from the inside. They've knocked it forwards and then just put a bit of seam sealer along there as well. Already just with this acrylic, it makes quite a big difference, it seems. Okay, so as if by magic, there you go, it's painted. And it looks really, really good, but it looks quite dark. But I'm gonna show you what it's gonna look like. Let me turn the light on, and then you can actually get a good view of what I was talking about and what I've done with the option. And hopefully you guys can see it in the camera. Can you see the kind of reddish, kind of in the, when the sun hits it, it's gonna be, it's got this like this little red tinge to it. That's exactly what I wanted. So it's gonna look really, really nice. Yep, they've done an amazing job as always, these guys. Even in here as well. You can see even with the light, look at that red tinge, that red kind of flecks in it. That looks really, really nice. Really happy with that. All right guys, so I'm gonna click my fingers and it'll be back in the workshop.